In this video, I want to talk about constructors and destructors for structs. So what these are basically just ways to, the constructor is a function that you're going to add inside your struct that basically helps you initialize your variables. One of the biggest things we have, right, is to always initialize your variables. And so this helps you avoid potential problems with not having that data already initialized. It's fairly simple to define and set up. It can be a little tricky because of some of the things. So like with constructors, they don't have a data type, right? And you can overload them just like you did other things. And a destructor has a little tilde in the front of it. So let's go into CLion and actually put it to work. We're going to go in our header, and this is where we're going to put the prototypes for our functions for our constructors. So the way that you call them, it's just the same name as your struct type. And you could also overload them, so we could pass variables into it, so like a string n and int l for level. And you notice I'm ending them in semicolons, and that's because I'm not actually defining them here, I'm just declaring them, right? So I'm going to just copy these over, and we're going to go into our CPP file, so our dragon.cpp file, and this is our implementation file. So we're going to add these here. And then what we need to do is to declare it and to have it be separated into separate files. You need to have you need to say where it's coming from. So that's what this is doing. Just like we've done this before with standard cout, that's saying that this cout is coming from this library of standard. Well, that's what this is doing. It's saying that this dragon is coming from the dragon library, and that's why we named it dragon.cpp and dragon.hpp. And so we're just telling it that that's where it's going to go look for this data. And then instead of ending in semicolon, we need the curly braces to actually define it, right? We'll do that one, same down here for this. And then we could just put in our variables, name equals, and then we could put initial name and level equals 0. So that would work for without any parameters being passed in. And then if you're going to pass in the name and the level, then what you do is similar things. Just name equals and then n for the name and level equals L. Now one thing I'm going to put here is be careful about naming these the same thing. If I named it the same thing, this isn't going to work. And then you're going to have this operator, and it gets tricky. So I always just like to have a name that is like using just the letters or something, or having it be slightly different, just so that it's easy to tell the difference between the parameters we're passing in and the values of the struct. So you can see here, right, struct name and stuff. So now we actually have to use these. So we're going to come back into our main, and we're going to create a couple variables. So we'll just say a dragon d2, and we won't do anything else. I'm not going to set any of the values, because what this is going to do is it's going to call, that's the same as doing this. So this, we'll put a comment here, is equivalent to d2, like that, right? So that's the equivalent of that. And then we'll also, so then we'll print that out, print dragon and d2. And then we'll also do dragon d3, and this one will pass in information. So we'll say Jasmine, and we'll put 15, and then we'll print that as well. And so compile this. And you can see here, right, exactly what happened is we defined it. We didn't have anything in it. So it went and called this function that initialized it to baby and 0. And that's what we had printed out. And then the second one, we actually passed in parameters. And so you can see here, it actually passed those in and set the variables to the ones that we passed in. So that is what a constructor is. So those are the different kinds of constructors. And then there's also a destructor. So a destructor is, so we're going to go back to the header file. It starts with a tilde. That's the one that's right next to the 1 on the keyboard with the parentheses and the semicolon, right? So the dragon. And we're going to go put this in our implementation file. And again, just the same way that we needed the dragon to say where the library is, we need the same thing here. So it's dragon, : : and I think there. And now all I'm going to do in here is just say, I'm just going to print out. We just need cout, right? Cout. I'm in the destructor for dragon. And the reason why I'm doing this is because we're going to compile this and run it. And you notice I didn't call it, but it was called 4 times. And that's because I made 4 different variables, right? If we go look at our main, I made 4 different variables, D and D1 and D2 and D3. And so it went and broke those down every time. So that's all a destructor is when the constructor is when everything gets initialized. The destructor is when it gets destroyed at the end of the program running. So in the next video, I will go over arrays of structs.